In this lesson, we'll create the leg for the character and connect it up with the pelvis that we've already got. Alright, so in this lesson, we're going to go ahead and create this leg right in here. And if you take a look at this from the front, you can see that it's not exactly symmetrical because of the way that it's drawn and just the fact that it's a drawing. It's not going to be exact. So if we were to build this leg here and mirror it, it's going to be closer. You can see over on this side. If we were to build the leg on this side and we mirror this, it's going to be actually farther away. So we need to kind of get a little bit of a compromise as far as where we're going to build the leg from the front. The side is not really an issue. You get some nice shape from the side, but that's just something to be aware of. Also, if you have a face, it's probably not going to be exactly symmetrical. So when we do the whole mirror thing, it's probably going to exaggerate whatever is on that side. So if it's tilted to one side, you may have a face that's extra wide, or you may have a face that is a little bit too narrow. So just keep that in mind when you're working with reference images. Okay, so let's go ahead and start by dropping in a cylinder for this leg. And I'm going to go ahead and create just a standard cylinder. And I'm just going to go ahead and drop this somewhere in here and give it some height. And then we can go ahead and pull that down. Okay, and we'll modify the settings here. Now for a cylinder that's going to be smoothed, I typically will do maybe about 8 sides for that. That's kind of the minimum that I normally do if it's going to be smoothed. Okay, so we'll do 8 sides for this. We can go ahead and dial the height up, and we can take a look at this from the side to get an idea of the kind of height that we need here. So we'll go ahead and dial that up a little bit and move that over. Okay, and the cap segments, we don't need any cap segments. Height segments, I think that's probably going to work for now. We want to keep it rather low until we start getting in and shaping, and then we can go in and add extra geometry in here. Alright, so let's go ahead and now start to do some shaping on this guy. So let's go ahead and convert this to an editable poly. So go ahead and convert to editable poly. Alright, and so now let's go ahead and delete. I'm just going to get rid of this polygon up at the top here. Right inside there. Okay, and let's go ahead and grab those vertices and just kind of pull them down for now. Okay, let's go ahead and start to shape this. So let's go into the side and say, okay, this is going to be roughly where the knee is going to be. So we can decide that, put that in there. We can also pull this forward, and this is going to be a little bit bigger, so we'll go ahead and scale this up. And this is going to be the largest part of the leg, so we'll go ahead and scale that up as well and move it up a little bit. Okay, and you can kind of see where the artist has drawn in some kind of faint lines here where the leg should go, and kind of the same thing up here on the front. You can see that right in there. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just scale this a little bit, maybe narrow this up. So the leg's not completely round, it's kind of a little bit more of an oblong shape. Okay, and as we come down here, we need some geometry for this calf. We want it to be a little bit wider here at the calf, so we'll go ahead and make that the calf. We'll drop that in there. Okay, let's go ahead and scale this down and pull this in, and we're just kind of shaping this from the side and from the front. And this will be the bottom, so we'll go ahead and flare this out just a little bit at the bottom, and also just rotate it a little bit at the bottom of the pants here. Alright. Let's go ahead and narrow this in a little bit. You can see that that's narrowed from the front. Okay, and we could just modify that just a little bit. Now, what I've got matches up fairly well with this leg over on this side, so what you might want to do is move it over just a little bit. Okay, depending on what you want. If you want it to be a little bit further out on this side, that's fine. You could do that. Now we may need to come in and start to add a little bit more resolution in here. Okay, so we can do that just by using any of the tools that we've used previously. So I can grab all of these and just do a connect and add one segment there. Okay, and as I add these segments, I can come in and add a little bit more shape to this guy. Okay, we definitely want more resolution around the knee. Okay, so I can go ahead and select this edge. Go to my edge selection here. Select the edge, select the loop. Okay, and then we can chamfer that. And let's add 2 segments. And that'll give us edges on both sides of that. All right. And we can go ahead, add another edge in here, and maybe slide that up a little bit. And then scale it out slightly and do some shaping here. You have the nice shape of that calf in there. And maybe one more right in here. Okay, maybe slide that down a little bit. And we'll just scale that out just a little and do some shaping there. Really concentrate on getting that shape of the leg there from the side. You get a really nice stylized kind of cartoony look. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and take this out just a little bit. And same thing here. And then let's go ahead and take this edge and chamfer that. So select the loop and just do a chamfer. And let's make this kind of a larger amount so it's kind of dropped there in the middle. And then if we need to, we can do any sort of shaping that we want to on this guy. All right. Now we also need to create the knee and kind of a wrinkle behind the knee. So if we take a look at this, we want to get a little bit of a knee going on here. And we could do that just by taking these polygons, okay, and let's just do a bevel. Let's give it a very small height amount and an outline amount, and then we can come in, and that just enables us to kind of create a little bit of a knee there. And then if we want to, we can kind of pull this point out, okay, give him kind of a knobby knee. Scale these points out a little bit. Let's take this and move it up. And just kind of space things out a little bit. And you can always check what this is going to look like again just by kind of turning on our NURMS. That stands for non-uniform rational mesh smooth, which is a mouthful, of course. And now what we want to do is create the wrinkle in the back. So we want a little bit of a wrinkle. And so we're not, creating cloth per se that's going to move like cloth. It's, stiff geometry, but we want to add some of those little details and touches that are going to make it look like cloth, okay, in kind of a stylized and cartoony type of way. So let's go ahead and go to Edit Geometry, and we'll use Cut. And let's go ahead and start to bring an edge from maybe right in here, and let's go ahead and draw that around to the other side. Okay, so we'll just draw that all the way around back to the corresponding edge on this side. So go ahead and drop that down to that point right there. All right. And now if we want to, we could come in and select this edge here. And we'll go to Selection and select our ring. And then do Connect to add an edge in the middle. And now this we can pull straight out. And you can also connect that up if you want to. If you get in any sort of weirdness going on, a lot of times you'll leave that since it's a quad, or you can connect it up there with that to make a couple of triangles. So we're doing a mesh smooth, it's alright. And we'll go ahead and take a look at that. And so you get a little bit of a wrinkle there in the back. And if that's maybe too small, you could come in and modify that just by grabbing some of these points, maybe moving these up, and just emphasize that a little bit more. So maybe pull that out a little bit. Maybe this needs to come out this way. Okay, same thing over here. Maybe pull that out this way, and you get kind of a nice little wrinkle in there. And you can add another wrinkle too, maybe a little kind of a smaller one underneath that if you want to do that. Now what we want to do is connect this up with our pelvis here. The first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and select half of the polygons, basically on the half that we're not going to be attaching. Go ahead and delete those. Alright, let's go ahead and now attach this. So we want to go to Edit Geometry, Attach, and we'll attach the leg. You can see it turns the same color because it's now part of the same editable poly. I'm going to take this border edge and just kind of move it down just a little bit. And now looking at this, we have a resolution of 8, right? So we need to find a spot to attach this here. So what we want to do is basically look at these 4 faces, and here we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So let's go ahead and get rid of those, and then we can kind of modify this a little bit if we want to. Just kind of change the shape of it just a bit. Okay, just a little bit. All right, so now what we can do is kind of match this up a little bit more. So we can take the top of this and maybe kind of rotate it around, and so it matches up a little bit closer with the hole that we've got there. And now we can either weld these vertices together, or we can do a bridge, either way. So I'm going to go ahead and take both of these border edges, and let's just go ahead and bridge that by going to Edit Borders, Bridge. And we've got one segment there, which is fine. You can also twist if you don't like where that edge is connecting. You can twist that. Okay, see how that twists around? But I like that sort of configuration right there. And we can now take some of these points, and looking at these, we know that these need to kind of come down and over. Okay. And then we could take some of these other points and move these in. Because you can see we got the pole here left over from our capsule that we created. Okay, so you could come in and kind of get rid of some of these edges if you wanted to, and kind of redraw that. Get rid of that. Hold on a second. Let me go ahead and hit backspace to get rid of that. Let me leave the one in the middle. And then you could come in with your top level, go to cut, and just cut right across there, and that cleans that up. So you don't have that pole happening right underneath there. Okay, it makes it a little bit cleaner. Okay, and just modify that just a little bit. And so now what you have are these legs attached here. Now one more thing that we want to do is go ahead and grab this guy and make the thickness of the pants. So we'll go ahead and just inset this slightly. So we'll do an inset. Go ahead and use the settings here. Do an inset, not that amount maybe. Okay, and then we'll go ahead and extrude that up very slightly. Apply that, and then once again say OK, and then we can delete that. All right, let's go ahead and now add some edges here to make that nice and tight there. So we'll go ahead and do connect and slide that all the way down to there. And now what happens when we smooth this, it's going to look like that. Let me go ahead and turn off edged faces. You can see we've got some nice little pair of pants here. Okay, and now we can just create the other side of this just by adding a symmetry modifier. So we'll go to the modifiers and add a symmetry to the stack. You can see it's already set up fine in the X direction. Okay, make sure that everything welds together as it should, and everything looks okay, I believe. Okay, and so then we can go ahead and collapse that down and then smooth that if we like. And then he's got some nice green pants going on. I can turn the grid off here, and we can see what that looks like. Okay, and that's going to be kind of under the jacket, but you can see how we've created the pants and then attached it to that piece that we originally had. Okay, so now that we've got the pants done, let's go ahead and in the next lesson, let's add an arm to the jacket. I don't think we're going to go ahead and mirror it, but we do want to create an arm, and we'll do it in much the same way that we did the legs. So we'll go ahead and tackle that in the next lesson.